Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, once again. This is Trekking Across the Universe. We are going to take a look at this evening Star Wars Andor Season 2, and what a way to get it going. I want to welcome everyone who's watching us. Let us know who you are and where you hail from in the chat room. Fire off your comments, and we'll get to them as best we can. And for everyone else, I want to just go and have them introduce themselves. You know who I am. I'm Roger. To my right, there, now he's to my right.
Oh,
To my
you
right?
want me to say? Oh, yeah. Well, it depends on which right you're talking about.
Oh, for
There's
the love of
lower
God.
right, the upper right. Whatever. No, but I was just seeing who's in the chat room, and it's got Karen, so that's exciting. I'm a special person. My name is right there, Michael Day. I'd like to welcome you all. And I think Karen should join us, to be perfectly honest.
Yes. Hi, Karen. Thank you for joining us. And Tyler, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? And then, of course, Luca, please.
I'm Tyler Herwig. I'm a recording artist. I sing songs. And I'm a diehard Star Wars nerd. Excited to be here.
Luca here, actor from Serbia. Maybe know me from Outpost and The Ark. And also a nerd for Star Wars.
All right, folks, well, we're going to get to it. Hi, Karen from Sci-Fi Vision. Karen, you're more than welcome to join us if you'd like. We're going to be talking Star Wars Andor. And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Disney is doing it different this year. There are 12 episodes of Andor, but they're dropping them 3 per week. So it's going to be a 4-week run. It debuted on April 22nd. And I don't know how my co-hosts want to do this, so I'm going to get to it. I want to go straight over to Tyler. You were the first one that broached it in the green room. So how do you want to do this? Episode by episode, beat by beat, or let's just get to it, brother?
I mean, I feel like we got to break it down a little bit episode by episode. Otherwise, we're gonna focus for an hour on like probably 2 hot topics, and I feel like we'd miss a lot. So, yeah. What I guess start off. What did you guys think of episode 1? How did it set up the season 2 for you guys?
Luca.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay. So I'm gonna be the icebreaker, right? Okay. So it's a little bit tough because after the season 1, which is like a slow burn, cooking it like for something that is going to happen, and that we are looking like we are meeting the Cassian guy, right, and meeting him in every little point that he has in his life before the Rogue One, and first season done that phenomenally. I was stunned, as we all were, right? But I didn't like the slow burn on the beginning of the season 2. I expected something else. I wanted more things done, and I expected that because they are going to release 3 episodes. And then I expect something big to happen in at least every 3 episodes. And I didn't get that from these 3 ones, And that's a little bit disappointing for me. It's more of the same, which is good, because they broken the code. Like what they want with Andor. They want to present Star Wars in a way that was never presented before. And we got that. We got that with some scenes that we're going to talk about in the next couple of hours, right? But I was not stunned, and maybe I expected something because, like I said, they're giving me 12 episodes to think about what can we expect in the season 2, and they're going to finish it with season 2. And if they're going to finish it in 12 episodes, then I need a little faster dynamic in happening, and I expected that. And I didn't get it. So, yeah. Episode 1 was like I didn't see anything happen in episode 1, right? It was a cool first scene when he steals a TIE interceptor, and that was actually maybe the best thing that happened in 3 episodes, at least in my opinion. Because we see him, okay, hey, he's on a job. He's now the part of the rebellion. He's starting his journey. he do that, and then he got stuck like in the previous season, and I was like, okay, so why did he have for the first season? So you can stuck him for 2 episodes doing nothing and being again he just being somebody who is captured, and getting away to get away from that there.
Yeah, I would completely agree with that. It really, I was expecting more after the first season was so slow. I was hoping they'd kind of come in hitting the ground running with some big action sequences. I did like the world building. That was one thing that I really liked about all of this is I felt much more immersed in this than other Disney Star Wars projects. Like the sets were great, the effects were great, but it did feel like they went back to this kind of slow burn pace, which was a little disappointing for me.
Well, I had either fortunately or unfortunately read a review before I watched it that didn't give any spoilers away, and their big thing is episodes 1 to 3 are slow, like the other. But they said the rest of it is not like that. Just episode 1 to 3 because they were doing setup and it's slow. But I agree with Luca too because the best thing in that was when he was stealing the fighter. I mean, it was just
and I didn't just mean about the action sequence. I mean action with the like something that is actually happening that is not a setup, because we got the setup in 12 episodes before that, and they said this is going to be 1 year later, right? And that's the and I want things happening now.
Yeah.
And this is interesting that Karen says that Cassian Andor is the least interesting character. And while watching the third episode, I was like thinking about how much screen time did Diego Luna got on the series, and then figured that he got just like maybe 5 minutes of screen time per episode, right? I mean, when you think about it, like how much do you see of that guy? In first season, you got him, you're following his story, and then there are Motma and I don't know, Lutan and some other characters, those Dedra and Cyril from Empire, and their start is slow again now, Okay, they're in a relationship, they're dining together and something like that, but why are we seeing this if everything's going to end in 12 episodes? They're not going to set it for 7 next seasons, where you want to see some progress, but we want to see some dynamic happenings and preparation for rebellion, right? That is what we are all interested about, and we want to see how it happened. And they have a lot to fill in these 9 episodes.
Yeah, they'll definitely have to pick up the pace to lead into Rogue One successfully. That's for sure.
I want to give a quick shout out to my cousin. Thank you for joining us, cousin Patty. Thank you. Would love to appreciate. I'd appreciate your thought. I'd appreciate your thoughts on Star Wars Andor. By all means, it says thought Luca was doing sign language. No.
No, I'm just doing the gesticulation, right? Is that the word?
No, hey, it is. It's all good. I knew Star Wars Andor was coming up, and I went ahead and I did another look at season 1, and I went through it, episodes 1 through 12, and this was after it premiered, season 2. I avoided all previews. I avoided everything. Well, I saw the previews and teasers, but I avoided everything, and I took two post-it notes of season 1, and it stood out for me. Episode 10, The Axe Knows No Pain. I apologize. No Way Out. And it was Charge. There's only one way out. That was the entire season that I saw with Andor. In every episode, there was almost no way out. Mm-hmm. And it was, yes, it was a slow burn, but there was a lot going on. I don't want to say there wasn't a lot going on here, but I agree with Luca and Tyler that he wasn't on very much. Now we have some other good characters that build up to the rebellion, but I did notice that he wasn't in there all that much. Now, in that episode, I mentioned the line a charge when they launch the attack. There's only one way out. You go, you go. You don't stop until there's nothing else. We'll see a little bit in the movie Rogue One. Val says, "I gave him all Donnie. What have you given him lately?" And then she answers. Remember, it's Luthen's assistant. I forget her name. She says, "I don't have lately. I have always." And that stood out the most for me in that. And then in Ferrex Road, the final episode, when Andor's adopted mother is saying people are standing up, freedom is a pure idea. And then we went back to the manifesto. There are armies and battalions already enlisted in the cause. They don't even know this. They are the frontier of the rebellion, which is everywhere. Even the smallest actions pushes our lines forward. And then we saw what Marva did. Marva is one of the primary igniters of the rebellion. She's not the only one, but she sets off the first bomb. And in a manner of speaking, she'd already passed away. Her speech got it going. Those are moments that stood out for me in season 1. And then I start out season 2, and oh my God, Luca, did you hit it right on the spot? I almost tuned out when they were doing the promo for Gorman. I knew there was a reason for it, but I was like, whoa, it's like, what is going on here? I was genuinely disappointed with the first episode, other than that moment that you guys were talking about when Andor steals a TIE interceptor. What was really cool was that Andor is not the gifted pilot that Anakin is or that Luke Skywalker is. That was cool. I did appreciate that. The minute Anakin jumped into a ship, he could do anything. Same thing with Luke.
Yeah, but
This
force
guy
sensitive,
doesn't
right?
have that. I'm sorry?
Force sensitive, right? Extremely force sensitive.
Yes.
I mean, you could even say like Han Solo though, right? Like he wasn't force sensitive. He just was a great pilot. I did like how they made Andor not good at that, you know?
Yes.
And I liked how they emphasized how, at least in the books, like the way that the TIE fighters were operated was vastly different than any other ship really in the galaxy. So like I think they did a good job kind of showing how that was confusing, not just for him, but how it would be confusing for pretty much anybody. So I did appreciate that. Like I said, I liked all the practical effects in the sets a lot.
No, the show looks amazing, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And compared to, like I said, past projects, it's night and day. Like you really feel immersed in the world. One of the other things that disappointed me though was when they started kind of using like modern music throughout the show.
Yes.
That immediately took me right out of the world that I was so immersed in just moments ago. And then I hear like what could be on the radio now, and I'm like, oh, why?
Yeah, they did. He did mention, Andor mentioned that he had been trained on a different ship to how to fly it. And then he got to this one, and then that was not what he had trained for.
Yeah.
So who knows what ship it was that he did train for, but
it's an actually maybe like a prototype for TIE Interceptor or something that is upgraded.
Well, that's what this was, but he obviously that's not what he was trained for. So.
Yeah. But I would like to go back to what Roger said about the Gorman campaign, and wanna like lean on this Karen comment, because actually that was a funny thing for me in that episode, and I liked it in some kind of way, because when we're watching any shows, like doesn't matter if it's Star Wars or it's some kind of drama, anything, I'm always looking for a connection with the real world, right? And and that was really interesting because they show the Empire in some way that we didn't see it later, earlier in some other Star Wars movies, right? They showing them as a board of people who decides on some other people futures. And that is pretty interesting because I really think that this world is run like that, and that maybe like fascist Germany was like that. And you had some people who were going to decide the fate of the 1 million people, and what are they going to sell them, why they have to move out from their homes, or they're maybe not going to even tell them that they need to move. They're just going to destroy the planet. And it's funny thing, I didn't want to turn this political, but of course, I will do that in some kind of way. So it's funny because it's about digging the minerals, right? And here in my country at this moment, the government is deciding, should they dig for some minerals with Rio Tinto, right? And they know that they're going to like pollute the water, like totally poison the, I don't know how much percent, 70 or 80% of drinkable water here in our country, because a couple of people got the money in the pockets. And it's very interesting to see the empire doing something, and you have something that is really close to the empire at your own home. So it is a nice, and I know that some other countries had those problems with Rio Tinto digging the gold in the like, how do you say it? I forgot what the mineral is, but it's okay. So digging for the materials and making shit happens at other countries, right?
Luca, following along with that, I did notice that, remember, in the movie Rogue One, what did they say happened on Jeddah? Oh, it was a mining accident. And what do they say right here? Oh, well, it's basically, it's going to be a mining accident. Now, Deidre says something differently, and we'll get to that in a moment, but I appreciated how obtuse or stupid these people are, that apparently we're setting up a mining accident, and 4 years later, we're going to have another one, and that's the cover story. I did appreciate that nuance, that's how stupid the Empire is. That they're going to use brute force, get what they wanted. It was a mining accident. And then again, we know what happens on Jeddah later, allegedly. So, yes, lies are lies, dude. They started, and you just carry them forward. And
but it's interesting because it's the connection to the real world,
yes.
There are governments who do that, because people are basically living in the dark. I mean, we have internet, we have everything, everybody in the world. But when you look the majority of the world, like not the USA and not the Europe, when you look the other parts of the world, they're basically living in the dark, right?
Yes.
And that is a kind of absurd, because in the Star Wars universe, there is a lot of knowledge. We know everything. We can travel faster than time. We can jump from one planet to another. But then there is an empire, like, controlling everything and making things.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Doctor Who's was a mining accident. Yeah.
Hi, Hope. Thanks for stopping in, Hope. Appreciate it. If you have any comments, fire them off in the chat room. Guys, I wanted to back up a little bit, and this is going to be on episodes 1, 2, and 3. We have the circle being used a lot, the metaphor. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but Andor tells, Andor tells, I believe it's Mia, after she says, is it worth it? If I die tonight, was it worth it? And he says this, the moment you step into the circle. He clearly makes that, and there was a little bit more to it, and it was quite a bit of detail. That's the heart of Andor. That's the heart of the rebellion. That's the heart of Star Wars. And it was very important. Later on in the wedding, remember how they talk about the circle. She enters the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep. I understood that metaphor. Also, in Intelligence Bureau, remember Krennic says, this is a very tight circle. Yeah. If anything goes wrong, we know where to go. So I don't know how much that is going to be used moving forward, but I get the idea that if you're in the circle, if you're not, if you're outside of it, you don't. And it's true in life, in work, our jobs, everything. But I have to tell you that I agree with you, gentlemen, that that was one of the best scenes in this episode, at least part one. I also did catch the doctor in her bad dream. The minute I saw that guy, I'm like, oh, dude, it's a nightmare. She was reliving the nightmare because I remember that because I had just seen season one again. So I thought, and I think you guys spoke of this as well, all of the production values are absolutely amazing. The Mothma estate, wow. I thought it was really cool. And, there was quite a bit to this. And I did appreciate the conversation of all the people as Luca talked about it, as and now I'm getting a bit repetitive on what happened. I love the place called the Mateen Divide. It's like, ooh, that was kind of cool. I appreciate. I like that name, where they had that meeting where Gorman is going to be erased from the map. Because remember, the Emperor's power initiative has to go forth, and it's going to happen. And Deidre seems to know how it's going to work. And Tyler, commenting about the music, I think they were trying to go with, okay, remember when they're cooking dinner? I somewhere when Deidre and whatever his name is, it almost felt like 1960s or 1970s music.
Yeah, they put on like smooth jazz.
Yes, and it did take me out of it, but in a way, I kind of thought, I'm like, oh, they're making fun of the nuclear family back, the imperial nuclear family, I guess. But,
sure, I mean, even in the wedding scenes, though, they were listening to like EDM, like pop, and just to me, like, given that in that time period, think back to like episode 4, A New Hope, and what was playing in the cantina. So, like, it didn't fit the world to me.
I agree.
It was just weird. So, like, there were those moments where I feel like I was really invested in the world, and then there were moments where I was immediately kind of slapped in the face and taken aback by it, and I was like, this just doesn't feel like Star Wars. I'm not saying it's bad. It wasn't Star Wars to me.
Well, the whole scene at the Motma estate with that rave, I don't know how to call it, was a bit cringe, right?
Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, yeah, it's really weird because okay, I understand that you are trying to give us how the people lived in that period. Okay. And as I said, we got that in the season 1. We got the essence of it. We saw the problems of a little man in that universe, and that is actually why we like Andor, because we can relate to those characters. We can be that in the future. I mean, our children or our grandchildren can be something like that. They probably can't be Jedi's or Sith, because we know that is why we watch the Star Wars and like that imaginable thing. But these people are genuinely real, right? Yes. And that is why we like this show and why we make the connection with it. But why make a big party and go wild Motwa dancing with those guests because she's disappointed that she needed to give her daughter away?
And think about this. Episode 1 was a 3-day marriage. That was it. It was over 3 days, right?
Yeah.
Day 1, right. So this entire year took place in 3 days. So I'm going to have to ask you to forgive me. I think my children are making a little too much noise. They want to go outside right now. So I'll have to let the cats go out. Michael, jump in, buddy. What else did you want to add on this, please?
We're still in episode 1, right?
We're jumping all over the place.
Well, yeah, but you might not want to. But anyway,
Michael, I'm just really trying to avoid talking about episode 3. That's all. So we can take as much time on episode 1 and 2 as you want.
Okay. Well, no, we'll just go to 3 right now, just because of you just said.
you didn't watch it?
Oh no, I watched it.
No, that's his favorite out of the three. You see, so he doesn't want to spoil it at the beginning. I'm sure that's what it is.
Okay.
But no,
That's definitely it.
the other thing, I'm trying to remember when it was. I mean, some of the other characters, I was trying to remember who they were, and actually, when I watched it the second time, I got a lot more out of it. I'll say this: the first time I looked at episode 1, I did not know what's going on. I said, "How in the world did they get here?" And then after watching it again, it's like, okay, it does make sense. But I felt like, we just got dropped in to him stealing the ship, and it was like, well, where does this all come from? And I'm thinking, did I forget something in season 1? I don't know. Maybe Roger, the ones who saw season 1 recently, can say, like Karen, when she gets here. But it's like I was lost for a little while, and I didn't like that. But episode 2 and not talking about 3, much better in my book.
I'm not sure if you gentlemen caught, this is the first time that we actually have a timeline listed on any episode in Star Wars. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time we actually see something that says BBY4.
Yeah, that's true.
I caught that immediately.
It was right at the beginning. Yeah.
The Disney projects, I think you're correct.
Okay. Yeah. All the others play with the timeline a little bit. We don't know exactly where we are, but in Andor, we know. I agree with you, Michael, but I was in on the episode. Guys, don't get me wrong. I've been waiting a long time for this. And I believe everyone said series 1 was a slow burn, but there was a lot going on in each episode.
Yes.
It didn't feel like that in this one.
Exactly.
And I understand it's a setup. This is a character that we've come to really appreciate. And I find it interesting what Karen said, and since she's going to join us, I'm looking forward to it. In episodes 1, 2, and 3, Karen is the least interesting of all of them.
Karen's the least interesting?
I mean, Cassian.
No.
That's what you
Cassian. Blockhead. Now, also,
you did
Karen
say
said that formerly her favorite storyline, until now they're together. Were you guys surprised by that? I saw season 1 the way it ended. Whoa, Karen, calm down. No, it's not that. But I was surprised at the abruptness of them being in a relationship. But I saw how episode 12 ended and
how it could happen.
Yeah, he saved your life. But I'm like, come on. I mean, that's it? You saved my life and I fall for you? Oh, come on. I thought that was a little... But anyway, maybe there's more to it. But
since you're talking about that now, and you can pull Karen in, but what I got a kick out of is we met the guy's mother again, and I just went, oh my.
We are jumping ahead, and I think that was episode 3. But before anything else, she is muted. I want to have her introduce herself. Come on, Karen. Come on in. Don't tell me you're frozen.
Yes, she is. Oh, what a pain. You just go Avatar if you have to.
Oh, that's a direct attack upon me. I have fallen victim of Roger's sent instruction before. Well, yeah, I'm far from perfect. Hi, Karen. You still frozen? Okay,
I think she is. Oh well.
I guess jumping to episode 3, the conversation between Deidre and Cyril's mother. Oh my God, it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, I appreciate it too. Just it seemed very Empire to me. Like she's like, all right, here's how it's gonna be.
Yes. But she does care for her man, basically. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing real well. Thank you for joining us, Karen.
Welcome. You need a woman on your show, you guys.
We were supposed to, but they didn't come.
All right, well, I'm standing in. I have my house is really dark, so sorry about that.
I'm not sure if you saw this from Hope. She says, "We love you, Karen. I have fallen victim of Roger's destruction before." Sorry about that. And yes, they do. Well, Hope, you can join us as well. Come on in. So anyway, Karen, why don't you jump in, share some of your thoughts on episode 1 as we move into episode 2 and 3.
I mean, the highlight of episode 1, I guess, was that the theft of the Imperial ship in the beginning. Cassian gets all the good action sequences, but that's really kind of, to me, the extent of my interest in his storyline, right? It's at its heart, it's a show about a guy who, I mean, that's not at the heart. It's a show about a guy who joins the rebellion. He's a small player who we know is going to be dead. At its heart, this is a show about how the rebellion comes to be what Luke Skywalker joins in A New Hope, right? And it's about the sacrifices you make and the things that happen for a rebellion for the movement to grow. And Cassian's, to me, just not that interesting a part of it. I really liked Mon Mothma's storyline over these 3. And Dedra has always been a favorite of mine, Dedra and Cyril. AJ and I call this show The Office Empire Edition. And we love all the scheming and ladder climbing and office politics. It's a favorite part of this show to me. And I'm really disappointed to see Dedra and Cyril together, because I just don't really think that would happen. I just don't see her falling into that with him. And I think the lesson there is if you stalk a girl enough, you can get her to move in with you.
Oh my God, she does say that somewhere around episode 7 or 8, right? She says, "Are you stalking me?"
She does say that. Yeah, she does say that. And then we see this scene, where the last season on Ferrix, where there are explosions and she's so scared, and Cyril saves her, and she, I guess, falls into his arms, and now she's his girlfriend. What the hell? That's not Dedra and Cyril. I really, really hate where they've taken these 2.
Tyler?
Yes.
Seemed like you wanted to jump in on that one right there.
I was getting a bunch of notifications, and I wasn't sure if you guys could hear them, so I'm turning off the notifications on my laptop. That's why I was.
I apologize.
No.
Well, you were giving us the vibes of something. Luca, I agree with Karen. This was jarring for me to see them together, and Karen even said it much better than I could.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've been talking about. I don't need them 2 together to see the fragments of how people from Empire can live like normal people. I just don't need that in this show, because those 2 characters were very fun in the first season, exactly because they weren't together. And there's always a rule when you doing drama plays or writing anything. You have to make it tougher for the characters. You have to give them bigger problems every time. And if we say that their biggest problem is his mother now, we totally derail those characters, right? Yeah. It just becomes a comic relief. It doesn't become important to the story. Why do we care about his mother? Okay, it's funny for 2.5 minutes, and then what? Does she play a bigger picture in that? Then it's going to be stupid, right? So we know it means nothing more than just a little progress for those 2 characters. But we want to see them. In the first episode, Deidre was in the conference room talking about, and that was a good beginning, because she's also, to me, Karen, a favorite character from the season 1, and I think the woman who plays her did job amazing. Cyril is a good character also, and he needs to have a role that needs to be filled in this season 2. So those 2 are going to play some big parts. But why set it up so slowly again? You gave us that in the first season. I don't see, I feel like I'm crapping on this show from the start, and I don't want to do that, because I really like this one. And when I like something, I like the season 1, I want to be critical about it because I think it can be better, and not like necessarily feel my dreams. Like, okay, I thought this is going to happen or this is going to happen. No, it's not about that. It's about a possibility they could have done something better at the beginning of season 2, and that is like we can all agree on that.
I know you muted yourself, Michael. I don't know if you want to jump in, or Tyler.
No, I'm just I really don't have anything else to add from what I said, and this is good stuff.
It actually is. So we can go ahead and let me just go over this real quick. 1 year later, written by Tony Gilroy, who I believe wrote the entire season. You'll have to correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, he did.
But it was written by Ariel Kleinman. Of course, it was created by Tony Gilroy. It's based upon Star Wars, created by George Lucas. And the tagline for the episode is an undercover mission, a sanctuary threatened, a Chandrilan wedding, and a chilling imperial plan. The TV guide version of the episode was much better than what we got. It was a disappointment for me. But I love Andor. I love Rogue One. And I want to see what they're going to do with Andor moving forward. Hey, it's a misfire. BFD, right?
Yeah, I mean they've got time to make up for it and make it all worth it in the end. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, guys, there was good stuff in here, but it just Karen, was it dragging for you a little bit?
I mean, the entirety of season 1 dragged for me. AJ and I, we covered this show last year on our show, and AJ and I really tore into it every week. AJ probably would quit if I didn't force him to keep talking about it. We both found it really slow. We both love the behind the scenes in the Empire, office politics for us to be the most compelling part of the show. Or was. I liked it better when I rewatched it last week and I kind of burned through the whole thing pretty fast. Yeah. I liked it better than when I watched it kind of weekly 3 years ago, right? I enjoyed it more. I know that season 1 also was written to be like these in 3 or 4 episode arcs, right? Chapters. And maybe releasing them in these chapters is gonna make it move better for me to watch 3 episodes a week instead of 1 week after week after week. But yeah, it is slow. I know you want to go by episode, but I feel in these 3, I feel Luthen is becoming more interesting to me also. As he becomes more ruthless, I guess.
Okay, appreciate that. Let's go into episode 2, Sagrona Tema. Again, written by Tony Gilroy, directed by Ariel Kleinman. The music, which I did not give credit, was by Brandon Roberts, but the original theme is by Nicholas Britell. And the only thing that I kept saying for my notes is because you guys know that I do scene by scene when I take my notes. So I didn't know the name of the planet at first because they never gave it to us. We all find out what it is after. But every time I referenced Andor, I referenced the idiots on the planet because that's what they were to me. How were you addressing them, Michael? What was your thought trying to keep track of the storyline with them? What were they?
Well, I never said it out loud or in my mind, but what you just said says it all. I mean, they didn't know what they were doing. It sounded like their leader had been killed and they had no direction and it made no sense with what they were doing. But I just went, how stupid can these people be?
Yeah.
And Karen's making a face.
No, so I don't want to. It's your show. I want to let all you guys talk, and then I can chime in.
No, it's all. Go ahead, take over. No,
I mean, those guys were idiots, and I felt like I was wasting my time. Why are they wasting our time with this episode? But after the episode ended and I thought about it, I came around to, Cassian's experience of the rebellion is in Luthen's tightly controlled and organized organization. And I thought maybe this was showing us how, this idea that there are people drafted into the rebellion who don't even know it yet, that a rebellion is a loose collection of cells who are not related. And they're saying to Cassian, who are you with? And he's saying, who are you with? And they're not like, it was maybe showing us that the rebellion isn't like one thing. It's a lot of little things happening that are not yet put together into that one big Lego. And I thought maybe it was a lesson to Cassian about how many undisciplined people are out there doing their own thing. I'm not really sure, but those are kind of the feelings that I felt as I mulled it over in the following days.
Yeah, and also after what you said too, it's also just think of Germany during World War II. They had all these cells, and people didn't know what other cells were doing or who their leaders were. And this sounds like this was kind of like the same kind of thing, that infiltrators, and they had little jobs, and they had their person that they reported to, but they didn't know anybody else. So I could see that. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that too. I struggle because when you look at the larger Star Wars timeline, like a great example of something that's happening concurrently with this show is Star Wars Rebels, the animated show. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but that starts in season 1 of that is 5 years BBY. This takes Andor season 2 takes place 4 years BBY. So the rebellion should be more put together at this point than what I'm seeing in Andor, and I think that's kind of frustrates me a little bit. It's not. It's kind of like Disney already established that this isn't like the rebellion's not new, and now they're making a new show and saying, "Oh, this is brand new," and that just doesn't mesh for me.
Well, we can find a reason for everything if we look hard enough, but I think this it's just lazy writing for that. They just strip him for 2 episodes. It was not 1 episode; it was 2 episodes. I hope that he's going to get away in first episode, because at the moment those people came, I was like, who are these people? What did they want? Okay, they're not important. They're not important. And we saw those not important characters so many times in season 1. I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah.
I want concrete action, and the problem with that is that they just died at the end, right? And what we found out that Cassian Andor can be like smart guy who can release himself from. I mean, we know that he managed to get away from the most exclusive prison, which was infamous for not letting escape anyone. It's enough, This is just lazy writing that you can set up the rest of the story while Cassian is in a cell again for 2 freaking episodes. It's almost 1 hour and 20 minutes long. So not amazing.
I will tell you that in this episode, again, as Tyler mentioned about the music taking you out of place, I did find it amusing because I did catch it right away where Cyril is now in charge and he's talking to the new hire, and you have that dumb music playing in the background, and he's talking about, hey, I was here, believe it or not too long ago, and the position of field purity. And I walked it back. I discovered a cabal of corrupt purchasing agents. There is a future here, but only for those who dare. That was such BS. I know it's a cover for why he holds the position that he has, but again, I did notice the music, and it did kind of take me out of it as well. And there, Luca, you're right. There's a lot of lazy writing in episode 2 as well. I was genuinely disappointed. Looking at everything that was going on with Mon, I was interested in because there was nothing going on with Andor. And I think we saw it in season 1. Mon, in that episode, there's no way out. There was no way out for her. There are so many things that are being done on her behalf that she doesn't even have a clue. And we learned that later on in episode 3. Someone is threatening them, possibly. And what do? They eliminate the threat. That was crazy. She's not 100% certain, but she comes to it when she realizes she's losing her daughter, she's losing her way of life, and she's losing her position in this, whatever they call it, rebellion. And she let herself drink to excess. And that was crazy. Was it realization, guys? Or was it she was choosing not to accept what is happening? I know I jumped ahead a little bit to episode 3, but
well, it's the storyline. No, I think she just had enough. I mean, she had, she was dealing with all these people showing up at her party that she didn't know why they were there, and then she was hearing certain things, and it really got her. And then when her daughters, I think this is episode 3. Sorry, Tyler.
Yeah.
When she said, when her daughter said, I wish you were drinking at my wedding, like you said, your mother was. It was just like she just lost it. I mean, she just didn't know what to do.
Well, doesn't she say that, I didn't know why my mother was drinking up until this moment?
Yeah.
Because in episode 2, when she's having the evening dinner, Tay comes up to her and says, I have concerns.
Mm-hmm.
He says, okay, what? Even though the foundation is up and running and your financial blemishes are gone, I think she reacted to that a little bit. It's like, what are you trying to tell me, dude? And he says, rebel activity of all things has soured my investments. I get what he was telling her. Is that, hey, isn't it funny what we're doing is actually killing my business? He says, but you have everything in order now. Was he threatening her? What? Karen?
I think so, yeah.
Absolutely, he's threatening her. I mean, I do love Mon. I have always enjoyed her storyline. I enjoy her more in these first 3 because the female characters have been there's no strong female character right now. Bix is strong, but she's been made very weak by what she went through. I hope she's going to turn around. I didn't like what they did with Dedra. Marva's dead. Mon is the one woman that I can look at. Star Wars doesn't really do female characters that well, and some of the fandom doesn't like having female characters at all. And I like Mon a lot, but I think this episode was really about the walls closing in on her. I think Tay is absolutely trying to extort money from her, and I think she's like, holy crap, I sold my daughter to a dirty accountant, on your advice, and now you're going to extort money from me. And I mean, I think that is kind of leading into what we see in episode 3. With the drinking and dancing, which I can hold off on for now because I have some thoughts about what I think that's about also.
Okay, fair enough. Gentlemen, did you want to add in on episode 2?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Let me see. What were some other thoughts? Rock, paper, scissors. What do they call it? 5 hands? Oh my God. Talk about, I knew what they were going to do when they said, I think they said 5 hands. I said, is this rock, paper, scissors? And sure enough, what were they doing? A claw or something? I'm like, okay, whatever.
Only thing I could see was the claw. That's all I ever saw.
And that was where that lazy writing I was talking about come to the like top, because he runs away from the ship, and then the guy who is inside, he saw him run away. He waits like for 15 minutes for him to circle all the way back to the interceptor, and then he's out. Like, it's so naive, and like I didn't see that in first season. That's not the reason I started liking this show, and I don't want to see it now. Like, so I really didn't like that.
Just before the rock paper scissors scene, I got the impression that the idiots on the planet, whatever they are, when they started yelling at each other from opposite ends, these were kids on a grade school, in grade school, and this was battlefield talk amongst these kids. And well, what's your plan? Do you have a plan? It was a bit disappointing. And then they come out and play rock paper scissors. And you're right, Luca. It took them forever to come and notify him. But guys, can I back up to episode 1? How did Andor get into that facility if the Empire has a holographic image of Andor or Cassian Andor? Are you going to tell me that we can walk into a stadium right now and get picked out from a television camera and the Empire cannot pick out Cassian Andor?
Good point.
That bugged the crap out of me right there. Tyler, you don't look too happy right now, dude.
It goes back to what Luca is saying. Like, if there's just some lazy writing throughout these first 3 episodes, that it's just really disappointing. So,
yeah,
I sometimes feel like Andor would be better like without the character of Andor wasting our time in these first 3 episodes. And I wonder, Luca and Tyler, like if this feels like filler, and do you ever feel like this could be a 30 or 40-minute show and it would be tighter and better maybe?
It doesn't have to be a 30 or 40-minute show. It can be a 1 hour long episode where we have all of these that happen in 3 episodes. And that is my major concern. Like, why are you going to release 3 episodes at a time if you're not going to give us at least one thing in those 3 episodes?
Yep.
The same thing I said at the beginning, because I want one major event happening every 3 episodes. If I'm getting those like that, like in parts, because season 1 was 1 episode at a time, and you have a lot of stuff for a slow burn to see how all goes on in those lives. Then a couple episodes in a prison, which were excellent, like the maybe the best episodes from any Star Wars universe I ever seen were those in that prison, right? But now you give us 3 episodes with, exactly like you said, filler episodes. Like those could be a comic, and a very boring comic, right? And I don't know how they're going to, and why did they did this? Like, why gave us 3 episodes where we're not going to see anything? And what is the next step? Like, how are they going to push it now to the max? But then it's a little bit strange if they do that now, because they got us used on a one tone, on one dynamic. Like Game of Thrones made the biggest mistake when they changed the dynamic. I don't want to talk about that, but I just want to give an example. Like they got us used to something 6 seasons, right? We're following something in a dynamic that is like we're getting used to, and then they gave us season 7 and season 8, and they totally like okay, you're not watching this anymore. Now you're watching this, and that is not good for a season, for a show, because it loses the audience it caught up in season 1, right? And I don't know what they're going to do with 9 episodes that are left, like 3 storylines, right? If it's in 3 installments of 3 episodes.
Yeah, allegedly each 3 episodes or each week is supposed to be 1 year. So that's why this is year 4, BBY 4. Next week we're assuming BBY 3, then BBY 2, and then BBY 1, which leads up to. See, season 1 was 5 years before Andor. And it apparently, and Karen, I don't know if you know this, and Michael or anyone else, I understood that Andor was going to be a 5-year run. So each year was going to be a year up until Andor, but I don't know what happened.
Budget
Money
cuts.
happened. Money happened, man. It's yeah. You want to say something?
I was just say they produced a bunch of flops and couldn't
Mm.
make that work.
Oh, and Andor. Karen, you want to say something? Go ahead.
So I didn't know that. I thought I had always understood it was going to be 2 and done, but that does make sense that it could have been 5, and then something like Boba Fett comes out and it gets cut back to 2, maybe. They also have a bunch of other stuff in the works, maybe that they have to pay attention to. I don't know if some of this filler could be that Disney wants 12, and I would think Tony Gilroy would have the juice to be like, no, I'm only doing 9, I'm only doing 10, whatever. But if Disney wants 12 and he's got to fill it up with something, we've got rock, paper, scissors. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say that too, because it's like, do you think that they had kind of written it and then Disney said, we want 12, and they took episode 1 and turned it into 3 episodes and they put all that filler in? Could that be?
Or is it possible they had the storyline for all 4 and they just cut it and they cut it and they cut it?
I think Roger is the closest, because that looks like it. It looks like they managed to give us a bigger story and then just stuffed it in a free episode. Because this could be a lot of things in between, right?
Yeah.
If you got a long like for 10 episodes, then we could see a lot of stuff going on. But this way, it looks just like rushed out. And probably it's the budget cuts, of course. It's like when you're doing flops, like what's the name of the forgotten show? I really forgot.
Well, probably you wanted to.
You're
What's the name?
The one we didn't review?
The one
we stopped right before
about.
we were going on air.
Oh, The Acolyte.
The Acolyte, the fucking Acolyte, man. so it was a low budget show, right? I mean, low budget, 20 mil per episode. But you can make like 3 seasons of Andor for that money, because you don't have lightsabers, you don't have any CGI, you don't have anything that is like total. You just have people talking, something that is interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that way to make it 5 seasons long would be much better. But unfortunately, we have to be satisfied with what we got. And we should be even thankful that we even got this second season. There was a talking that the second season may be not going to happen anything.
I mean, so this kind of compressed timeline, if the show is supposed to, I don't know what the show is supposed to be about, but if it's supposed to be about how Cassian Andor, a sort of selfish and cynical man, grows to become the character who gives his own life in Rogue One, that character development, now we're getting a 1-year jump every week, right, as these are released. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I don't really think that's what the show is about, really, but that's what we were told it was going to be about, right? And I don't know that I hope his character development will be served well by this storytelling format. I hope that it's all going to make sense, and they have time to have that make sense for me in 4 weeks.
I hope so. Well, look, just on what we discussed tonight, guys, think about this. What have we learned? Because it's Andor. What have we learned? Andor learns that not all plans can go, to plan. There are failures. And that, I think Karen or Tyler said it earlier about, there's a bunch of small cells and no one else knows what's going on. And I guess this is where Andor is learning not to trust other people. I mean, is that it? Is that what's BBY4 is? What did Karen Andor learn? I remember when Star Trek: The Next Generation was accepting spec scripts. Their whole thing was, if you're going to write a story, what is the story about, and how do our characters learn from it? Those are the rules of The Next Generation. Can we apply it here? How did the storyline affect our character? What does he get out of it? Wow.
He learned to drive the time interceptor.
Wow.
And
I
not
mean-
very well.
When you watch the first season, I'm always going to go back to first season because it's the good example of how you can make something Star Wars good, right? So, small victories for the rebellion are the most important part of that, because we're not watching him destroying a Death Star or going toe to toe against the Darth Vader or some Inquisitor or something that can be a big win. Those are small victories, you know. So stealing a TIE interceptor at that moment from that guy is one big victory, but a small on a scale, right? Like on the planetary scale, it's a small one. So why we didn't get the episode where he prepares and do that infiltration? I think that would be much more cool than seeing him imprisoned for 2 episodes on Javin 4, right? You talked about how did he get in that facility? So Luton must have given him some, I don't know, ideas, something, some architectural of the facility. How can he infiltrate that? But that can be interesting. That can be a complete episode, right?
Yeah.
And we get satisfied with that small victory. We're not satisfied because he managed to defeat the Empire by himself. No, but because he's preparing that what is going to be. And we need a lot of small victories for that.
Okay. What do you guys think? Okay. I believe Michael will be back in a moment. Sorry, Karen. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know how it served him, but I think that interceptor is that's Chekhov's gun, right? If you steal a ship in episode 1, you will attack the Empire with that ship by episode 9.
Yes,
probably.
And he did it by the episode 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of episode 3, Harvest, again, directed by Ariel Kleinman, written by Tony Gilroy. This one had a runtime of 55 minutes on Disney Plus. And I don't know who wants to go first on this one. On episode 3 called Harvest.
I mean, there was one thing in this episode that I didn't really like in particular, which was the sexual assault.
The lieutenant, right?
Yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Like, I get that Andor is a more adult version of Star Wars as compared to other projects that they've done, but it just still didn't feel, it felt out of place, you know? It just didn't, it took me out of the world. I get that it's a relatable experience that a lot of people have gone through that, and that's a tragedy, but it felt, you could have inferred it as opposed to showing it in the way that they did. I didn't appreciate that. But the rest of the episode, I honestly didn't hate as much. So curious to hear everyone else's thoughts.
Exactly about the thing you just said. I was asking myself why do we see that? Because we want to find out that the Imperial officer crooked, or that she's a strong woman who can defend herself, or that I didn't understand just why am I seeing that scene, right?
And I don't understand why it's necessary to keep breaking Bix down so that Cassian can rescue her, right? Like she already was tortured in season 1. I I mean, she's a minor character who, I mean, she's his ex-girlfriend. She had the contact with Luthen, but this was like, why do they have to keep breaking Bix like that and then having Cassian swoop in and rescue her? That's lazy to me, right? And it's a female character. Like, she was powerful. And she's not.
Oh, go ahead, Karen. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I just, you know, I just don't. Yeah, I just don't like what they're doing to her, and I don't know what her purpose is on this show except to be a damsel in distress, and it pisses me off.
Yep, I completely agree. And as I was rationalizing, why would you include that? Like, maybe you're trying to get us to hate the Empire, but we all already hate the Empire. So it doesn't serve a purpose. Like in the first Star Wars ever, right? We see them blow up planets. Like, you can imagine what's going on in Revenge of the Sith. We see Anakin. Again, it's inferred very tastefully. I think we see Anakin essentially murder hundreds of children. Like, we all already hate the bad guys. We don't need more reasons to hate the bad guys. We need kind of more reasons to fall in love with these new good guys.
And I wouldn't have anything like against if he was like maybe totally opposite, like such a nice guy. Maybe he saw a girl which he liked and maybe tried to get it in some, I don't know, polite way, maybe to see the other side of the Emperor, that not every one of them is crooked and bad.
Yeah.
Because we know that. Like you said, we know that. We hate him.
Yeah, give us a reason to have internal conflict, with the Empire itself. I think that's a more interesting thing to tease. And we even saw that with like Finn in the sequel trilogy. He was a stormtrooper, so we're meant to hate these people, and then we kind of fell in love with the character a little bit. That would have been a really cool way to approach it. And then they could have built it up so it was like this Empire officer that we started to kind of like, and then Cassian face off, and it's like Rebel that we like, Empire guy.
And maybe Cassian just kills him off because he's from the Emperor, That would be. I mean, you have the casualties of war, right? So people are going to die.
Yeah.
You have to make it interesting with mixing something. Sorry.
No, you guys are making really good points. Like, nobody is watching this show who isn't fully informed on the Star Wars saga. There's no one that this is their first Star Wars, and we need to establish for them that the Empire is bad.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Karen. I have to tell you, Tyler, I was a bit confused when I was watching it, and Karen, Luca, and Tyler, your takes were much deeper than mine. And I'd like to know what Michael would have to say on it. I'm going to try to make it quick. But I'm listening to all of you, and I was like, okay, what was I thinking? Like, okay, all right, this guy's a typical low-end bureaucrat. That's going to take advantage of his situation. And I'm thinking, okay, I dismissed it as we haven't seen this in Star Wars before, but your takes were all deeper than mine. And I regret thinking that, because I was like, okay, all right, here we go. We haven't seen it in Star Wars. So, okay. I was very juvenile and naive about that. But now listening to all of you, no, seriously, I have no other way of saying it, Karen, other than like, okay, we haven't seen this before. I learned a lot of my writing from the writing manual that I referenced a little while ago. It's what's going to happen and how do our characters grow from it. And you have check boxes to do. And I felt, Tyler, that this was a checkbox, that we hadn't seen it before. So guess what? You're right. This is everyone who's watching Andor knows Rogue One. You're right. It's like, why are we watching Andor? Because of what happened, Rogue One. That's why we were fans of Rogue One and we're fans of Andor. What is the hero's journey? Yeah. Okay. And
what do you say? There's some
go ahead, Tyler.
I was going to say there's things that we don't need to see in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like in the Acolyte, when the bad guy, I can't even remember his name, it was so forgettable, but he like took his shirt off and there was that weird like sexual tension thing. Like, I don't need that in Star Wars. I just don't, like, at all.
I kind of needed that.
Difference of opinion, Karen.
That's cool, Karen. I appreciate that.
That's,
You know,
that's
the-
like if I
Yeah.
want to watch women get raped, I'll watch SVU, right? I'll watch Law and Order, and I
Yeah.
can see a woman get raped every week. I
Yeah.
don't need that in my Star Wars.
You know, Karen, your comment about Bix as well. I agree that she's just being torn down now each and every time. I appreciate that dream sequence that she was having the nightmares. I'm like, okay, she's struggling through it, but she's struggling and she's moving on. She stands up to the Imperial officer very well the first time where she says, oh, no, everything's fine. I don't think my husband would like that. You know, she was very strong, but she was weary. I think she'd had to deal with this before. But again, whether we try to apply any logic to it, the fact is we've seen it everywhere else.
Roger,
Did
there's
we
no
need to
there's
see
no
it in
woman.
Star Wars? Karen?
There is no woman who hasn't had to deal with that before. Okay, like every woman, every week of our life had, you know, maybe not every week, but like, of course, she's dealt with that before. I mean, that's a thing that, like, okay, it was a little overt and a little over the top, but I mean, that's a very real fear for many women. That you're home alone, a stranger comes to the door, you know, is asking a lot of questions. I mean, I mean, I think that's a thing that would resonate with a lot of female audience if it was written better and made sense in the storyline. It was just kind of like I know that feeling, but again, don't need it in Star Wars. Didn't maybe make sense for this.
Michael, Tyler, Luca, Karen, and I probably all agree. I naively, but we're talking about the assault scene.
I finally figured out what you were all talking about. I was trying, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was not a fan of that. I mean, I didn't like the way they did it. I wasn't necessary. I didn't think so, but
Tyler said there was no place for it in Star Wars.
No, I did not. I did not like that.
Okay.
And see, Karen, I made Karen disappear. So, you know, it's like,
Oh, you're funny. I want to give a shout out right now, ladies and gentlemen. We see Aisha Kerr, Hope, thank you, and Bobby. Appreciate the love on the Facebook page. Thanks, guys. If you have any other comments, please fire them up in the chat room. Don't forget, ndbmedia.net. There's a lot of stuff going on. As a matter of fact, as you know, Michael Day hosts several programs here on the network. And over to my left, Karen. Very quickly, what are some of the things that you do on the network as we wind this thing down? Why don't you let everyone know what you do?
Okay, so we have a show on Tuesday nights called Fandom Access, sponsored by Sci-Fi Vision is like our sister website. The show is called Fandom Access, and we cover mostly science fiction shows as they are airing. So we might talk about 3 to 5 shows in our Tuesday night 2-hour block. We will talk about Andor, but not in the depth that you guys are doing. We cover a lot of other stuff. We covered the Ark as extensively as you guys did. Doctor Who. We have actually, you know, we just launched a separate show for The Last of Us that we cover on a weekly basis. Severance. So we've been on with you, Roger, for 10 years now. We're on NDB Media, probably.
Yes.
With you guys with our Tuesday night show, and
I'm very happy that you guys came
stuff
over, because when Blog Talk Radio did what they did, you guys went off air. And that's why I reached out to Jamie. We were competitors. Everyone knows this story. We were friendly competitors. Fandom Access against Lost for Lost, I think it was. Yep. It was fun. Those were good times. I'm glad you guys are still on air, and I'm glad that we're hosting you on the network. That's cool. Guys, down at the bottom, Tyler Herwig. There's his links. And, of course, I was hoping. Geez, Tyler, you got a lot of them on there.
Oh, he's got a ton.
I'm very.
Yeah, and then I was trying to get to Luca's, which will be up in a moment. But
A year after Tyler.
that is so funny. I didn't realize there were that many.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Karen, if you could type a comment on the website for Sci-Fi Vision. So there it is. And I believe there's Lucas right there. It's going to be showing up in just a moment. There it is. Obviously, ours is ndbmedia.net, so it's all good stuff. Michael, any other comments about that part of the episode?
No.
Okay.
I want to comment on one more thing, if it's
Go
okay
ahead,
with you
Luca,
guys.
please.
I don't understand why Bresso, however he's called, died. Like, why do you give that character to us for 12 episodes and then 3 more and then just kill him off like that? And Andor's just like, okay, he's dead. Go, Bresso. Why?
I don't know if you guys caught it in that moment where that one stormtrooper, he just slowly lowers his weapon, and he made the shot that no other stormtrooper would ever have made in the history of Star Wars.
But you know, that is
Tyler,
exactly.
I'm sorry, what?
You mean hitting the target?
Right, hitting the target. Yes. Go ahead, Lucas. Sorry.
No, that is exactly what you talked about, the 5 seasons. Like, that could have been like a big death, like an emotional death that could happen at the end of the season 2, representing that year, right? But this way is just pointless. Like they just kill the character off. Like, we don't need him for the future happenings. And then there is going to be one marksman stormtrooper who's going to snipe him down, and that's it.
Yeah, and again, the stormtrooper finally got a kill. It was unbelievable. And why did he die? This is the Natasha Yar death in Rogue One. Why did the character die? For no reason whatsoever.
For no reason.
He was trying to get away. I guess they're trying to show the emptiness of the Empire. We know what they do.
No, I'm not gonna buy that.
Yes, and Luca, I was about to say, I just don't understand why he died in the manner that he did. What was the point? It's a waste of time. So, are we seeing Rogue One exaggerated, where all the characters in Cassian Andor's life are going to die? Is that what's going to happen? Brasso, when does Will go? Is he going to go next week? And then what happens? Is Bix going to go and BBY too?
Well, Bix is probably going to go.
Yeah, I think they're stripping Cassian of his connections and his relationships so that he can become this like man with nothing left to lose, right? They just were connections that weren't established enough in season 1 that I really care that much that Brasso died. I'm not going to be like, oh, I miss him week after week after week, right? He was fine, but I don't know that they'll also play because Cassian will speak on screen and say, oh, I really feel this loss, right? But I don't know that I feel it.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with they killing every character that is close to him. For me, it's fine, but you have to do it in a smart manner, like to really make us care about those deaths, not just kill him off in a field while nobody's looking, and we even didn't have a goodbye moment with him. It was basically he saw him. Okay, he's not breathing. And Bresso, where is Bresso?
Yeah.
And what we got? Like he's just some NPC who died, and that's it.
Yeah.
I had no idea that we were all going to have similar feelings for this first group.
Well, it's garbage. We have to be honest with it. It's not a good start. I'm really rooting for them to make something out of it in the next 9 episodes, but this is like really, really different from what we see in a season 1.
Well, apparently we're getting a missive or a holographic image. Sorry, guys, I know I was supposed to be there with you too, but I had an appointment that ran really late. But I'll be all with you next week. Senator Mon apparently is going to be joining us, so we'll see. Look, I thought it was a video game at the very end when Cassian had arrived on the planet and he started shooting. Did you guys get that impression? I thought I was playing GTA 5 when he was firing at all the stormtroopers Did you? It was like the auto aim. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was almost like Battlefront 2, right?
Yeah.
Like playing Battlefront, right? He was in a ding, 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 and just with those auto aims. It was nice.
Yeah.
He
Look.
got good at flying very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, and did you notice that the TIE fighter would fly very slow, and it was almost like he could maneuver like a car, I suppose. But I know that's being simplistic. I appreciated everything that happened on the Mon storyline. I know, Karen, you mentioned that. Episode 3, we see a lot of her in here, and I appreciate these characters. Mon Mothma has become an important character that I want to see what's going to happen. I almost said Balin Skull. Sorry, wrong series. What's his face? Luthen. That guy. I'm hoping to see a lot more with Luthen. And his assistant, she is so awesome. I forget her name. She's cool. Where in the episode did it happen? Was it episode 3 where Val and her were like they were by the dance, and then she's one of them says sarcastically, "Oh yeah, two single older women out here stuck," and the look that Val gives her, I was like, wow. And even I forget what her name was. She's like, "Well, what the hell's up with this?" Whatever. I thought that was a good story moment. That was real, but there was very little of it outside of that. Look, Cassian coming in to save the day. Okay, great. Yeah, the loss of Brasso, it was a shame. And B is going to remain with his family on the planet. So I'm kind of disappointed that B is going to stay there. This is the episode where we saw the couple preparing dinner. And this is Tyler, what you mentioned, the music took me out of it. Dude, it was like they were trying to what was their intent, Luca, Tyler? What were they trying to do with that?
I mean, that really beats me. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe try and get a younger crowd to appreciate some music? Question mark.
Yeah, I guess. I did appreciate learning about Deidre's family, how she is the way she is. She says, "Oh yeah, my mom and dad were criminals at age 3.
I was
So
raised up by the
the
Empire,
Imperial
basically.
Kinderblock."
Yeah, Kinder, but I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah. So I don't know. There are a few other items in here, but I don't even know if it's. Oh, the conversation with Luthen when he chastises Mon. He says, "You need to be protected," and then I think he says, "Well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? I don't understand." And he says, "How nice for you." Oh, I did appreciate that. I don't know if he was. What was he saying, Karen? Was he saying, "I doubt that you're being honest"? That he was really like, don't be stupid.
Yeah,
you know what's going to happen.
I think he's calling out her denial, her willful denial. Like,
It is willful,
for
huh?
her to, she wants to be on this sort of really clean part of where she raises money for the rebellion and gives money to Luthen, but then doesn't really acknowledge what he does with it, which is things like hang Krieger out to dry last season and let a lot of guys get killed, like to protect his secrecy, right? And I think she really believes in it, but she thinks, like, she thinks she can donate $40 to a congressional candidate in Georgia and change the direction of the country, right? She not have to get out in the street with a sign. I mean, I'm oversimplifying that, but because, but I think that he was calling her out and being like, "Stop pretending you don't know what I do with this money. Stop pretending that that your hands are clean." And like, how nice for you to not understand. And he doesn't have that luxury, and eventually no one will have that luxury, I think, right? I mean, we know eventually in Return of the Jedi she's the head of the whole operation. And he's called, she's she's scared. She has a lot to lose, but I think she's still really focused on like that she would lose the trappings of wealth and lose her family, whereas Luthen, like on a daily basis, is making life and death decisions, mostly death decisions for a lot of people who don't know what's coming. So I think he was calling her out on that.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, any other comments on that? And any other comments on the episode?
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. Luca?
Me too.
Karen?
I mean,
Anything else you want to add?
the only thing I would say, you guys were talking about the drinking and the dancing. And I thought maybe that was really a release for her. Like Mon is always playing a role. She's always acting. She's like acting when she's in the Senate. She's acting when she's with her husband, who I really think she hates. But then there were a couple times in this episode where I thought maybe I could see how that marriage maybe works a little bit. She's acting, pretending that she thinks this marriage is a good idea. She's so tightly wound and so keeping it all in and always like, and I thought maybe she was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to get drunk and dance like a maniac and like release a lot of this tension.
Yeah, the dancing doesn't bother me. It was the music that bothered me specifically.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm also a musician, so like I'm really picky about that kind of thing. So
You should write them, Tyler, and say that you'll write the score to the next one. So
no, you don't need me to write the score. Just think about what John Williams did with everything in Star Wars, and like that's the vibe of the universe, right? Not pop music.
Or for the Mandalorian series, right?
Oh yeah,
That's a really, really good score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just feels very It's not Star Wars music, like it's not even something that would exist in their world.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a museum. I'm not a musician, and I was like, "What is with this music?" I also like that music took me out of the scene, as I paid attention to the music more than I paid attention to what I was looking at.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Folks, the way I saw these 3 episodes, I've seen them twice. There was stuff I saw in each episode that I missed the first time around. But all in all, I was genuinely disappointed. I expected quite a bit more from the writing team, and I expected more in Andor than what we did get in the first 3 episodes. And to the creators of Star Wars, look, we're fans, and it's all on first impressions, and we didn't see it. I'm sure there was more to it that maybe we'll get later on down the road, but this, for the most part, was not a good start. Are we fans of Andor? Of course we are. But the tension and the drama that you guys have to create is a lot different. Andor will not die. We know this. Mon Mothma will not die. We know this. The challenge for you and the problem is when you go back in time, you've got to create a different dynamic. And we are fans and we're holding out hope. We're still in and we'll see. But we are keeping you guys on a tight leash. I understand this is a setup, but I hope it is much better here on out. We'll see.
Yeah.
We are fans. We believe in the slow burn. But, dude, you guys haven't even lit the pilot yet on episodes 1, 2, and 3. So, I don't know.
Well, and
Go
Roger,
ahead, Tyler.
no, I got to say it. They still have room to subvert my expectations.
Yes.
There's hope. There's room.
This is the team that delivered Rogue One and also delivered Season 1. We had our attention. Rogue One was far from, I didn't mean to say that. Season 1 was far from perfect, but it was a good burn.
Yeah.
We'll see. Luca, final thoughts, and then Michael and Karen, and we're out.
Yeah, I basically agree with everything you said. It's tough to say from this position because you know that they even if somebody who made this listen to this, the show is already done. We are seeing it, So what they filmed. It is what it is. But I think the biggest mistake they made in these 3 episodes is that they like put the pedal to the metal on the things that we liked in the first season, and that is humanizing those little people from Star Wars universe. But we don't need that anymore. We need to strip from that and go into the action, because as you said, we know they're not going to die. So how are you going to make the tension? Okay, we got Skarsgård, who is an amazing actor.
Oh yeah,
amazing character, and every scene, if you've seen it, well, every scene with him was almost perfect tension, because there is always conflict when he is in the frame, right?
yes.
He's always suspecting something or plotting something. No, and we need more of those things. We don't, you know. So I think that we're going to get that, and I want one major event by the week, by the 3 episodes. I want one major event that is happening, that is like getting us close to that one that is going to happen in the Rogue One as we know it.
Thank you, Karen.
Oh, gee, I don't know what I was going to say. I mean, I really agree with all of you guys on almost everything. I do think Skarsgård kind of overshadows
Everybody.
well, everybody. I mean, he's an amazing actor. It's not to say other people aren't good. I don't think they're serving. So Diego Luna is very pretty, and he's doing a fine job. I think they're not, maybe, I don't like to criticize an actor. The writing is obviously bad, and they're not, Cassian is not written as he's written less charismatic than almost everybody else on the screen, right? Like he's being overshadowed. His character, Cassian, and they need to give him something to do maybe it's that big heroic moment that's coming in Rogue One is overshadowing anything he could really do in this show, Cassian.
And he might not be there yet, that character, because of what he might be coming up, so
yeah, he's not really he's not a leader or a true believer yet, right?
No, I don't think so.
Michael?
But and what I was going to say, I'm so glad you didn't tell us to give it a grade, because if you had,
No.
I was just going to say I would have to give it at least 2 or 3 grades. I'd break it up. I'd say for Andor's, for Cassian stuff, gets 1 grade.
Oh,
Mon Mothma gets 1 grade, and then all the filler gets another grade. Because they are so different in my book.
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, the different storylines.
Yeah.
Okay, the biggest disappointment other than Cassian for me was Deidre's storyline. Dedra's, sorry. Yeah, that was a woman I love to hate. And all of a sudden, no. It's gone. So I would agree.
Yeah, so
All
I'm
right.
glad you didn't say it. So
fair enough. Well, look, guys, but I appreciate that, Michael. That's really smart. Look, it's all good. Guys, I want to thank you for this. I am holding out hope, and I'm expecting to see some good stuff from them on this. Disney, you've done it before. Look at what you guys did on 2 sentences from Star Wars. Rebels attack from a secret hideaway when they steal the plans from the Death Star. Oh my God, and we got Rogue One. On Rogue One, Andor said, everything I have done for the rebellion. No, everything I have done was for the rebellion. What is it, Cassian, that you did? And I think that's what we want to see, right?
yeah.
Everything he did was for the rebellion. Let's see it, Disney. I hope you deliver. I have faith because you guys did year 1. All right. Tyler, any production news? Any jobs, concerts? Anything you want to share?
I mean, a million concerts. You can always find them on, if you Google me or check out my website, tylerherwig.com. And then I just released a new song on Friday called Like That Kiss on all streaming platforms. So check it out. come back next week. Let me know what you guys think.
All right. I'm going to have to do that one. I have not had a chance. I've been slightly busy for the last 3 months, but people hate me for it, but that's okay. Karen, you mentioned Sci-Fi Vision's got a lot of stuff on the network. How many programs now? It's Tuesday night and at least 2 other programs, right?
Yeah, it's Tuesday nights. 10 o'clock Eastern is Phantom Access, our weekly roundup show. And we are doing, when do we do Last of Us? On Wednesdays at 9, I think, right? Just before you, Michael?
I think so, yeah.
We do The Last of Us. So this will be week 3 of 6 of covering The Last of Us. So we're in a bit of a slow TV period right now where a bunch of stuff has just ended. So lately we're talking about Andor. You can call Roger if you want to hear AJ lose his mind over how much he hates this show when we talk about it on Tuesday.
I'm going to have to tune in for that. So
Tomorrow night.
Oh, that's right. You guys are a week behind because it debuts on Tuesday.
It debuts on Tuesday, so we cover it a week late. So we've had time to really think and digest.
Yeah, so we'll have to see. All right, fair enough. Luca, anything you want to share with us?
Well, nothing special. Just doing some domestic projects here in a theater and on some TV shows, but nothing that interesting. Yeah, everything can be checked out on my website.
Hey, it's all good right there. LucaJDZ.com. Check it out. And folks, thank you. We might be a little snappy right now only because we expected so much from Andor, and we expect so much still. So we'll see. Other than that, ndbmedia.net. There's a lot of stuff going on the network. Monday Night America will be returning, not tomorrow, but the week after in May. And we're back. And folks, I'm proud to say no one has beaten us. NDB Media has been on for 17 years. Sports Talk with the Guys and Monday Night America are the longest running programs on the internet ever since Red versus Blue stopped. They were 24 years, and now we are the longest running program on the internet, both Monday Night America and Sports Talk with the Guys. Other than that, Michael, any announcements?
I have a vertical drama actor coming on. Oh, let's see. It's Tuesday at 7 o'clock from Australia. He goes by Boz, and he's just getting started in the vertical drama stuff. So, and he's from Australia, from Sydney. So it should be interesting. I've been getting a lot of Sydney actors recently, so it's been cool.
All right. Well, there we are. Folks, may the wind always be at our backs, all of us cumulatively, and may the force be with you. We'll see you guys. We're out.